morning. In the fourth step of making the Snowflake tower, I will focus on making the top part of it, or let's call it the crown. That's tower that you see right now on the screen was the last thing we can manage to get in the step 3 when we're making the architectural form of the geometry. Now that's the solid part that later on we can slice to make, you know, the geometry or the enclosed part of the building. You can change that to slabs. You can calculate the actual volume of the covered AC part of the building from it, and that's what I called here, or I refer here to as the architectural form. In this type of geometries, we really can extract the external surface of it and use that to create the facade, and you make the cladding, and from the cladding you can make, you know, any type of subdivisions or even a skeleton, an external skeleton that cover parts of the building, not all of it. But in this specific geometry, and there is lots of towers have similar design features in it. That's the actual form is smaller than the external facade. So I'll just turn off this solid. Those were the cross sections or profiles that I used to create the solid from it, or the architectural form for it. Sorry, and as you know that they are all just the same plan, or the same parametric plan that we created. I just prepared a new one, a new crown. Let's say it's a crown plan that's represent only the top part of it, and I translate it and I place it here above. Probably I need to start previewing it. So what I've done is I created here the crown geometry, and it's basically that I lifted P2 or any circle around P2 upward, and then I connect those curves to it, and the lower smaller one, or the smaller circle created by R1, I just raise them a little bit, like a 2 or 4 meters, I can't remember, generating a 3D plan or 3D profile that does not actually fit in a 2D plane. It's just a 3D curve or 3D lines, as you can see in here. Place that above, and then I created a surface that represent the external shell, or the external facade, or the external clad, whatever you want to call it. Here it's just the clad, or the skin of the building, and that's what we got. As you can see, it's fully hollow from inside, and that's what we need to make the patterns, or the division of the facade. We don't need the solid that stopped till this line, and in reality, or eventually, we supposed to turn them both on actually, if we need to see the building as it should be. And yep, taking some time here. Come on, don't sleep. Yep, now it's working. See, that's what we actually need. See, that's the roof where the the last profile stopped, and this guy, the 3D or the crown, is actually passing that upward and creating this nice geometry that we want. Anyhow, so stopping here, I'm just going to save. I'm going to close that, and now I'm going to show you how to make the crown. So I'm closing everything we have in here. I'm just creating a new file. I'll just place in this third part of my package, a special package that I created. I'll just place this one. I'll just show you. So I created those two things. This guy that I used, that's the first 3D plan or 3D profile, and also this guy. You can have a look. See, Anyway, so both, one of them is raising P1 upward and the other one is raising P2 upward. Anyhow, so if I go back, I'm gonna place this guy here, which is the main Snowflake parametric plan that I created, and I'll double click on it to open it. So I'm gonna depend on the original profile that I created, and that's the one that I have. That's the one that I created earlier with you. I'm just gonna go file and save as, and inside the definition I'll just create something called crown. Okay, that's the crown one. I'll just save it, and as long as it's saved, I just because that will keep the old name and it isn't appear now, so I'm just going to close everything. I'll just open Dynamo again, so it's going to refresh everything and reorganize the definitions correctly. So I'm going to open Dynamo. Now new again. Now you see that's a new one here, the Snowflake, whatever the name, and the crown, the new one. If I placed it here, you see the name is also updated. So we have now two different copies. One is the original one, which I'm keeping, and the second one is the crown. I'm gonna just easily maximize this and double click on it actually, and it's gonna open the definition for me. So remember that we generated this based on this is the first, or the first one we placed, which is have an index of 0 in here. So index 0 is here, or the first one here, and that's goes the second, third, and so on and so on. So let's have a look. We're gonna raise those big things up, which is basically generated around R2. Anywho, so what we need to define here is the minimum height and the maximum height for the amount of raising distance you want. So I'm gonna go minimum slider, or sorry, numerical slider. That's my numerical slider, and placing it usually to the left side of this work. And I'm going to simply just rename it to minimum height. Copying that guy, and you can just change that to maximum height of the crown. So let's say the minimum is something like 4 meters, and the maximum something like how much? Let's say 20. Making sure that the Revit file is not messed up, should be metric system, so we prevent the whole thing from yep. Where is the units? Here. I'm just making sure it's meters. I should have done that in the beginning, not at the end. Anyway, so now the lowest or the minimum height for the shift gonna be for those 3 points, which is controlled by P1. The maximum goes for those 3, which is controlled again by P2 and generated the circle around them by R2. The E3 people that you remember that we created them, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those E3s, I'm gonna raise them based on half of the distance. So we need to add this one to this one divided to 2 to get those to be in the halfway or the midway, because we're gonna go from the lowest point, the medium, then to the height. Anyway, so now let's raise first the maximum, guys. So what we need to know which one it was. We said this one, the beginning, that's one. This one, this guy is exactly here. And again, guys, I know what to do here because I done that like a couple of thousand times here. So for you, I totally do not advise you to start to do the custom node, because I've been lots of questions asking me how to do directly in the custom node system environment. I would really encourage you to go to do it in the normal Dynamo. So when you select this guy, this will be highlighted for you. You know, it will be less pain than we have in here. But again, that would be a good exercise to both in both environments, and know the differences and the pros and cons of each one of them. So now I need to make, back to this, I need to make a copy of this upward. So I'm gonna go translate, and I'm gonna use the XY, and I'm just connecting this guy to this dude, and I'm gonna just take it down. Okay, and this guy, we really need to push it upward by 20 meters. So now if you zoomed out, that's the second Terra. It's really a horrifying thing. You cannot see what's happening. Why? Because this is again controlled by the guy here. This is all a servant of whatever been created in here, and this guy doesn't have an output, and you are just amending things. We will never see it here because it's not been represented. Oh god. Anyway, so that's why I say it's confusing. It's good to work in here if you are trying that for the first time or just designing it. You shouldn't do it in the custom node environment. So temporarily I need an output. And when I place this new output, see, this guy is shown. I hate it. Anyway, I didn't like it. It doesn't make any sense. Lots for me. So that's been generated. See, because it's have an output now, and it's allowed to be expressed and shown. Anywho, now you know the trick. So if you didn't see it there, don't freak out. Just go crying. Now you just add this one. Now you either go and make 3 of those, or just create a list. It depends on what you actually want, or you're able to understand the process. If you find it so hard again to deal with those guys, to know which one is the first and which one is the second and which one is the last, just go ahead and copy those 2 things, you know, and just copy those downward like this, and you can call that up left, top left, top right, and bottom one, whatever. If you find yourself cannot, you know, just grab that guy here, which is 0, 1, 2. This will be the first, second. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you can grab that guy, number 6 here, and connect it to the geometry. And oops, you find it the wrong one. Just connect this guy, number 6 actually. And again, that goes up, and you can rename that easily by telling it it's a top left and top right, or top right, top left, sorry, if you want. And that can be a good solution for you to control it. Or you go easy and less. It depend on which one you prefer. Probably I'll keep the other one. I don't know if you don't feel comfortable with using this. Anyway, 1, 2, 3, and I don't know, I'm feeling hesitated because I already show it to you based on that, so I'm just gonna keep it. Okay, I just made my mind. I'm just gonna keep it. So this guy again that we created is just I'll just call it top right, and this guy I'm just gonna call it top left. Again, I shouldn't do that, but I don't know why. I just came to my mind now. Anyway, that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 10. Just to show you that you can do both methods. You can, you know, raise them or create them the same way you did by creating a list. Where is it? by creating a list like this one, sorry, and then getting the list out to use this method. It's up to you, or you can just go ahead and use this guy. This is the top right, top left, and that's the lower one, whatever crazy names. Okay, just making it, you know, like slightly more or longer, but it's okay if you want to well organize it. Or you can use the list here and the nodes here created in the code block. Good. So now we have 3 extra circles floating above. We need to do the same thing in those small things, you know, that small radius, the small circles on the P1. Now we said those guys going to be, you know, raised to the max, those guys to be raised to the minimum. Now notice that the overall geometry, if you push that, this one, the lower one, if you push it all to be raised by 2 and those guys to be raised by whatever 20 or 4, sorry, the minimum is by 4 and the maximum by 20. Now you would really be a smart choice to move everything by amount of 4, because this guy, this curve, which is those remaining between the small curve and the big curves, actually gonna be you know, starting from the lowest point ending up by the maximum one. That makes sense to raise all the geometry by 2. So you can just simply give this value to the overall, instead of raising this 2 and then raising this one and then raising this one and then raising this one, just give the minimum height for each one of those guys. So you go to E3 and give it a 4. I know it's going to disappear, don't freak out. Then go to E2, do the same for the elevation. Keep doing that for E1, that's E2, E3, that's E1. And this dude here, again, to the, what is it, P2, beautiful. Now the remaining is P1. Also I'm gonna just give it here. So what I've done, I actually raised everything from the point 0, 0 and push it a 4 meter above the original plane that we actually started working on. Careful with the numbers now, because this dude here is 20 meter from, you know, the 0, 0 or the 0 plane, and now it's technically 20 meter minus 4. That means it's from here to here, it's 16. So if you are actually okay with that, okay, you just be happy. If you want this distance to be clear from the 20 meter from this point to the new curve or the new level, so you need to add A plus B to add this one to this one to make this 24, and then redistribute that to the copied geometries. It depends on what you want. I'll keep it that way because I'm gonna place this, the original level will be on roof of my tower, and then I want it to be 20 meter from the roof, not from the lowest point of this. So that's been said. Now we can go ahead. Now we raise everything by 4, and we technically copied those. Now we need to raise, you know, all the E3 points to be, you know, exactly in between. Beautiful. And how we do that is to go to E3, wherever they are here, those points. That's the output of the points, and again those are the points, all of them without the organization here. So easily you're gonna get, let's just do a code block here, and we say it's A plus B. So that's the minimum, that's the maximum, and now we get a 24. I'll just simply again code block that, and say it's a or whatever number you like divided on 2, and then connect them again, and just you're gonna get that half the value between. Now we're I'm gonna use this. It's just geometry translate, and this will be the Z, and I'm gonna take all those here. So again, you are not seeing anything, and that's so normal. We need an output to it. See, now we actually generated 6 points in the mid distance between them, and remember that it could be, you know, if you want the distance, the exact distance between this guy and this guy, so you need to do the voodoo's that we say just 2 plus 2 plus 4, and then, you know, before you do the submission, the division. Anyway, so now we raise those points up, as you can see. Then that's what we want, so I'm going to zoom out. Now we really need to regenerate the curves, those curves based on those 3 points. So again, you can come into those arcs and, you know, restructure them if you want. That would be really the smart choice, but for me I will just reconstruct new arcs. So what I need is to find out first where's the start point and end point of those points that I just you know, created. So for the top one here, I'm just gonna need a start. That's the end point. Okay, should be this one, and it also should be this one. So you're gonna create that and this, and again, if you want to see them for some reason, you just need to create an output for it, and you're supposed to see it here. See, for me, I don't want that. I know they are existed, so not like that curve. I just wanted to make sure that it's actually happened. So those, you need to copy them several times and just generate points in here as such. So we have now 6 points. Each one represent those new curves that we have, and we also have those guys. So it would be really great to group and call this whatever, height or curve at highest point or highest level, so we know, and those are the output points for them. While these guys, you can call them whatever you like. It's like E3s. They actually make less important because they are a sub-object rather than those are the end of it. So now that's been said, those are E3, mid, whatever you think it's been, you know, understood. Now I'm using points here instead of starting and ending things. Now, one by one, we really need to create a new curve. So I'm just going to take a curve in here, an arc by 3 points, sorry, and in it we just need now a start point and then an end point. So if this is the the first point, or the first one to start up with, it should goes to the first point, and then the midpoint should be E3, and the end point should be here, exactly at the big curve. So the big curve on the top right, that's the top right, the big curve, that's the start point of it. We can connect it straight to the end of this. This guy is the midpoint, and it's again E3, so it's this point. This point is in E3, it's definitely the first point, but anyway, it's not 0, it is 0 actually, so it's the first point. After it's been raised to the mid-level, so it's going to be here, the middle. And the first point is this guy, so I start up, that's the last, that's the mid, and this is the beginning. This beginning point is generated according to the intersection of the small p with R1. So which one specifically, I have no idea. That's the annoying thing. So I'm going to take the first one, just connected. Again, nothing going to be shown here, very rarely. Okay, so just take a copy of this output thing, place it, and you can see it's kind of crazy. That's the end, that's the start, and this is, for some reason, is the first point in the consideration of intersected geometry. So if that's the first, second, so that's, sorry, it's 0, which is the first here. So that's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, crazy. I'll just hold up for number 5 and make it here. Now we can have a look of what happened. That's what really we want. Okay, no, that is not what we really want, is it? Nope. That's actually yes. Starting from this point exactly, and goes to E3, and then goes to this one, so yes. Good. Now I'll just generate this one, same thing. So this is should be top part. Again, I'll show you why I call it top. I'll just copy paste those down here like this. Now in this guy, again, this guy, I'm just gonna remove, you know what, that's again 3 points, and we can go ahead by, that's the end point, which is the bottom one here, lower one here, and it should be the start of it. If I am not wrong, it should be the end of it. Should goes here, and then the second point, it should goes to E3, I think 330, which is technically the last one. I wish. That's the mid, and the first will be, how much was that? It was 5, isn't it? Yep, 5, so it should be 4, which is this point. See, this is exactly what we want. Beautiful. Now this is the top, I say this is the bottom. We can just combine both of them and give them I don't know, let me copy it first, and then just create a group so we know and remember what they are. We can make that lower right leg, so we know that those are this part, this there, exactly this part. Now again, Let's make the other side. So we got this guy and we got this guy. Again, this guy is having this, which is this dude. The start point will be here instead of this one. The second point here, again, I'm gonna go back to those guys. I'm gonna take this point, one point before, and the first point will be exactly this one. So I'm gonna go again to the intersection, and instead 4 I'm gonna take 3. Oops. And here. See guys, we are doing it perfectly. Now the top part is it's in here again. What we have to do is to take instead the last point is created in the top here, top right. So I'll have this point. You need to connect it to the output to see. And no, that's the top right. We should go to top left. Sorry. Should go from here to here. Beautiful. The mid, it should be 1 point from the E3 less, which is this one, number 3. So it should goes in here. Now for some reason it's look okay, it's not. We need to go to the small point intersection between P and the circles, P1 and the circles, and that one goes, let me follow this one because it's 1 point less, it's easier for us. So again, it's here. And connect it here. And that's it, see? Nice and easy. Now again, I'll just the top one probably I'll copy it. Easy. Why? Because it's almost sharing the same top part, so why not? So the top part is this. I'm gonna use this guy, the other edge here. Beautiful. And same E3 should be the, that's 1, that's 2, that's the third point in E3, which is 1, 2, 3, this one. In the middle, it goes there. Beautiful. Now the start point should be, you know, the second one. That's 0, and that's index number 1, which is the second one from the top, which is this one. Here. Let's have a look. And it's perfectly correct. Now the last thing, again I'm gonna copy that guy. Now that's the way it could be, like this. See, this guy again here and here to the first or number 1 out of the raised E3 and place with the intersection of R1 here. So the first one in the R1, and you go to the number 1 or the second one in the raised E3 mid, and to the end curve of the top right. Those are the 3 circles that we raised. So now we have this geometry has been, you know, designed and placed the way we liked. Now we need to, now get rid of the lower one here that we really don't need to use anymore. And before we do that, it might be a good idea to rename those if you want, the same way like we've done in the, so that's the lower leg. You can call this the lower right or lower left, actually, and this goes to top. Just use Control and J to create a group. Now we need to update this guy, okay, and now we need to have a look. That's the first element in this, zooming out a little bit, but it can be confusing. So the first element in this curve is, again, will be the first element of the lower left leg instead of that one, which is this one, whatever it was. So again, so this guy is the lower left, is the top part of the lower left. Where's the lower left? That's the lower right, sorry. Lower right, that's the top part of it, which is this. So this guy should goes to the first place in here. So probably that will be disappearing. It's okay, it's now replaced by this. Now instead of this dude here down, okay, we need this big upper one. So where is it? It's within the group of raised people here, the raised circle, that's the top right one. So this guy, the whole curve should be placed in here. You can see now it's disappeared, so that's for us. Now we need this curve, and it's again in the top part. That's the top part, so this should be top left and top right. That should be this one. That's the top right part. Should be placed here in number 2. You see that goes. Now this dude, item number 3, is the same. We are not changing it. That's the benefit of raising overall thing with the elevation that we've done. Now we need item 4 to be this guy, which is again the top things, but this time it's the left one to be number 4. That's number 4, item 4, sorry. This should be disappear, and that will be instead. Item 5 should goes to this raised, fully raised circle on the top left part of them. So that's the top left. Take the circle to number 5 here. Number 6, that should goes. Number 6 should be that, which is again the lower left. Number 6, that's the lower left here, and the top part of it should goes to number 6. Number 7 should be the same, no change. Again, that's why we raised everything, so this will stays at least. That's number 7. So number 8 will be again the lower thing. Number 8, the lower left. Where's the lower left? That's the lower left, and it's the button part. To number 8, that's number 8. Number 9 should be the lower or the bottom one of the raised curve. So that's the lower one. This one should go to number 9. That should goes, and now it's replaced with this one. Now this number 10 is this guy. Again, it's in the lower right part, and it's the bottom one. It should be number 10. That should be goes and replaced with this one, and 11 should be this one, which is the same as old. Now you can go ahead and off those the preview, because they actually not really use technically, not really connecting them, so just get them off the preview. Now let's that's what we have. As you can see, just save it. Now we save, and we can close that guy here. And now we see that we have lots of crazy outputs. As you see, that's really, we don't want that. So again, double click again. We need to refine that. So we have this polyline, that's the output. So those guys, I'm just going to delete them. Those guys, because it's really going to be confusing at the custom node to see all those, you know, meaningless thing. Probably those group of points, we don't want to see them. Save, close. See, so that's it. We generated now the custom node, as you can see. Now I'm just gonna close that, we don't need it. And just gonna go inside the videos part, and that's making the form. I'm gonna open that guy. That's where we actually stopped the last video. And now we need to generate the crown here. So what we're going to do first, I'm going to save as, and that's step 4, making now all what we need is to copy this guy aside or upward. Go take that up. Now I'm gonna close this guy and open the extra crown thing that we created. We need a translate. This is the translate to push it here, to place it here exactly. So I'm gonna connect it here, and I need to connect it to the higher flow, which have the highest level. So it should be here, right? So it be reference to the roof actually. Yep, now it's crazy big because it have different dimension based on the lower level. Now we just connect that to the same P1 to the P1, just feed it with this. Too far away. E3 to E3, R1 to R1, R2 to R2. Now it's exactly the same as the top triangular shape, but it's placed as exactly where we want. It's 4 meter height, 20 meter height from here. That, guys, it's not parametric here, and that's you can control it. Just, you know, double click again, fair and easy, and add the parameter to it if you want to make it fully parametric. Just come here, and instead of this you can just add an input value, one here, okay, and then one here, and just connect that back to all of them, okay, and give it default value. Same thing we've done. I'm just not gonna do that. Yes, whatever. I'm just not gonna do that because it's gonna be another half an hour to do that. Just connect those lines, and same thing we've done in the previous video, guys. So I just don't want the video to be too long. It's longer than it is actually now. It's too long already. So that's been placed correctly. We fed it the correct values of that. Now that's the geometry translate, because it's on the ground. If it's a copy of it on the ground, we push it up, and according to the roof. Now we need to add this guy to the list. So we need to, with this, we need to add it to the last, like we've done here. So now if you can make those, you see that's all of them, including this guy, and this guy has been placed. Probably we need to, that's too dark. That means there's lots of lines we didn't off. We should go and off those lines, extra lines, because inside this, if you remember, there's a polyline that represent all of them, and those arcs, that's why it's a little bit darker. We need to off them there. Anyway, I'm not gonna do that. So I'm gonna go Surface.ByLoft. So this dude, and we're gonna create a surface now here to connect those guys. And it's not working. Eesh, that's bad. So what it is saying, actually, again, it's okay, the end up line, it's self-intersected. That's okay. So that's a common mistake that happened. We need to go back like a lion here, back to the snowflake. That's happened that the actual distance here between both the crown and the top roof one is not enough. So sadly we need to make the minimum distance probably 6, and I'm gonna save that. Yep, and closing this guy. That should fix the problem. See, so don't freak out when that happens. That's probably we need to add, we really need to add the thing here, the minimum height, the maximum height, so we control that easily. So I'm just too lazy, and I don't want to do that. It's gonna take like a 15 minutes to do. I don't want to. So if you get this warning message, this scary one telling you that this yellow guy is not really working perfectly, that's okay, because if you zoomed in, try its best to curve and generate a curved element with a straight element. Probably the segment is not enough to be twisted in this area. So distance that a little bit different or higher will allow Dynamo to curve those points to match without creating a self-intersected or a curve that actually intersect or overlapped with its own geometry. Anyway, so that's been done. Now we can, have a look. This is our final geometry of the snowflake tower as both again This is a surface, and as both as a solid, so the solid will represent the architectural form, as I said, while the surface will represent the external facade or cladding of the building, as you see here. That's why we really need to do that in this type of geometry. This guy will be helpful to us to create the cladding, the pattern, the adaptive component, skin, skeleton, and even the subdivision if we want to add it later on in the next videos. While you know, the geometry itself, or the solid, or whatever you want to call it, the architectural form or the mass, it's gonna represent for us the geometry, the main volume of the building, and it can be created for us, and we're gonna depend on it to create the floors and make Revit dynamically slice, or even Dynamo if you want to slice that geometry to create the slabs for us, straightforward or automatically. Anyway guys, I wish that you find this long video useful. Thank you very much for watching us, and if you have again any comment or any question, please pop that question on the YouTube channel, and I'm happy to provide for you the solution with the suitable time. Thank you again, and have a good day. Bye bye.